Captains of Industry, brought to you by Airtel.
He's been conferred the Member of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Jim Ovia is a man who goes where many fear to tread. He's known for his pioneering stance on banking in Nigeria, being the founder of one of Nigeria's largest Tier 1 banks, Zenith. Synonymous with Zenith, he's an institution here in Nigeria. He's also a philanthropist, he's also very tech savvy, and today he's the CEO of Quantum Capital. He's our Captain of Industry tonight, and I thank you for continuing to be with us. Before the break, obviously, we were talking about your love and passion for information technology, and that's seen you use a lot of your own political capital and resource to try to raise awareness. So philanthropically, you founded the ICT Foundation for Youth Empowerment and many other such programs. You've been a national chair of the Commission for ICT. So you've really endeavored in many ways. What's the response been, I think? What's the uptake like?
Now, first of all, let me mention about the Nigerian youth. We have an amazing crop of young, talented, brilliant youth. Youth, by definition, or World Bank definition of youth, United Nations definition of youth, said those between the ages of 12 and 24. So that reminds us.
So that means I'm no longer a youth.
You are no longer a youth. That means that you are no longer a youth. You know, in the past 8 to 10 years, I've been organizing what we call digital revolution for empowering the youth, and I have a foundation known as Youth and ICT Revolution. Yeah. Youth Empowerment for ICT Revolution is an NGO. For the past 8 to 10 years, we'll normally hold annual forum where lots of students, they struggle to come in, and quite a number of times the entire hall premises is so filled up that the space will run out of spaces. And the first question I asked about 10 years ago, how many of those youth had email address? And no single one. 10 years ago, they didn't. And subsequently each year, so I encourage them, they must have email, they must go to cyber cafe, they must go and register. Sometimes we'll give out a few technology tools and accessories like computers, like mobile phones, like PDAs, and so that they could try them. And I told them, when you get home, your next birthday, you should ask your parents to buy you a computer. Yeah. Your parents should not buy you a toy or a suit, or they shouldn't take you for a holiday. Ask them to spend that money to buy you a computer. And a number of them did that. Subsequent years, they come for the same forum. The next question is, how many of you now have email? 50%. So from 0 to 50% in a matter of 2-3 years, that I started organizing those Youth Empowerment and ICT Foundation.
You're also the founder of the Mankind United to support total education, and that's an extension of the work you do in philanthropy. But what I want to know is, Nigeria has a lot of social problems. You refer to some. And we know that there should be public-private partnerships between the state and business to try to address some of these problems. But does it fundamentally now fall on the hands of entrepreneurs and businessmen like yourself to solve these problems? Where is government in dealing with an education crisis, for instance?
All over the world, you will see that government cannot, and they should not be the only one to solve the societal or socio-economic problem. The private sector entrepreneurs must play their own role. And it is the private sector that creates employment. The private sector entrepreneurs create jobs. Government do not create jobs, actually, but government will create the enabling environment. Government will make up policies that would enable the entrepreneurs as well as the private sector to strive and be able to create jobs. And you will see a lot of Nigerians today who are entrepreneurs in the private sector, some of whom you already know, are beginning to create opportunities for the youth to be employed. After I had left Zenith Bank, when I retired, I thought, look, I still have a lot of strength, stamina, I could do more things. So I started to set up a mobile phone company, which today employs above 1,000 persons. So, and 1,000 persons employed by my mobile company would have been unemployed today. But the government will not be in a position to employ these people, but government would have to be in a position to create the enabling environment, which they are doing. They are doing a tremendous amount of work in creating the enabling environment where entrepreneurs could strive and function and create employment.
So you're bullish about Nigeria there. You're bullish about governance and the 7-point agenda and dealing with a lot of social problems, energy problems. The political will is there and the gravitas to act is there.
I have always been very optimistic about Nigeria's economy and Nigeria's environment, and maybe because of the fact that I've benefited tremendously. I've had the opportunity to be able to do well in this environment, and I think other Nigerians also will have equal opportunity to also do very well. We should not be focusing on whether Nigeria has a 7-point agenda or 1-point agenda or 10-point. The number of agenda is not really the issue. The issue is to remain focused in what we do and do them very well.
You're also an author now that you've retired from Zenith Bank. I know that you've written extensively on ICT historically. What are you writing now?
Well, I'm writing a book about not just only Nigeria economy, banking industry, information and communication technology. It embraces so many things. I encourage you to buy a copy when it's ready.
What's it called? What's the title?
Well, we are coming up with a number of titles, and one of them we'll fine-tune eventually, one of which, a more dramatic one, Hidden Secrets in the Bank Vaults.
Would you let us in on some of those secrets?
Secrets in the bank vault, but I will know that when the book is eventually published, you're going to look for a copy to buy, and I encourage you to do so.
Do you want to tell us a little bit of those secrets today?
Well, some of the secrets in the bank vault had to do with some of the questions and some of the issues we've addressed. How did the Nigerian banking industry metamorphose and the dramatic phenomenal growth and changes between 1990 and year 2011. And some of them are contained in the book. And how Nigeria will create tremendous opportunity for those who actually want to remain focused, committed, and they must have faith in the Nigerian economy. And one of those who have very strong faith in Nigeria, Nigerian people, Nigeria's economy. One thing that many people do not realize that Nigerians are very hardworking people. They have exceptionally very committed, hardworking people. All they need is just opportunity. Give them the opportunity, they can compete with anyone in the world. I'm
glad you've just mentioned that, because also throughout your career you've also been very interested in issues of leadership, for instance, being involved with the Nigeria Leadership Initiative and also the Africa Leadership Initiative. And what I want to know in this regard is the disconnect between corporate leadership and political leadership. You refer to the fact that there's many young, talented Nigerians coming up, starting businesses, doing dynamic things in the economy. And that is the story in many emerging economies in Africa. But there seems to be a big gap between the drive in corporate Africa and the technical know-how in political Africa. You now have an opportunity to mentor, to advise, to come up with leadership solutions on a continent where there's a huge dearth of leadership, particularly political leadership. What are you doing in that regard?
No, the honest truth is that the difference between the public sector and the private sector is very clear, not just in Africa, in Europe, in the US, in China, in India. There is no way the public sector could compete with the private sector when it comes to innovating, when it comes to being committed, dedicated to bringing about success stories in anything. It's like that. The public sector are not very good in running business. Government have no business trying to even run business in the very first place. Whether it's in the US or in Europe, you could really see that even in Europe, they had privatized all initial monopolies that European countries used to own. Then in Africa also, the wave of privatization of many monopolies of government. If you take, for example, Nitel is being privatized now, and look at the Nigeria Airways, there's no Nigeria Airways, you now have other airlines. And these were government monopolies at that time, but not anymore. Entrepreneurs, private sector had taken over, and they are doing exceptionally great jobs in those regards.
If I had to ask you 5 words by which you live, the values that you truly embrace as a person, what are they?
Be very focused in what you do. Be very committed in what you do, and have faith in yourself as well as the environment in which you operate. Those are the driving points that will create success for any individual.
Does that explain the painting and the art and the sculptures we see in your office, particularly the sculpture behind you, the man with the spear?
Now, the man with the spear looks like a spear and a shield. It was a very, very moving artwork that I saw a few years ago in a store, and I was moved by it. And it meant 2 things, 2 stories behind it. One, that meant that today, the spear is now represented by a pen, and the shield is a book, modern day warrior, not with the spear and the shield, but with a pen and a book.
The power of the mind.
The power
Boating
of
is
the mind.
another thing that you love, Jim Ovia. La vida loca, I think some people would be saying, the good life. Explain to us your love of water, your love of boats.
Oh, it's quite fun. It's easy to really captain your own boat, much easier than even driving a car.
Yeah.
Because there are no traffic jam in the water. There are not too many obstacles in the water.
Yeah.
There are no road bumps in the water, and a lot of fresh air. So it's quite fun. So you need to have something to relax your mind after you work so hard.
Yeah.
Every day, morning till evening, weekends, you need to have a place to go and relax your mind. So that's the essence of the boat club.
We've come to the end of our interview, but I think many people are asking themselves, quantum capital, Visa phone, what is Jim Ovia up to now, and what's the next big thing to come from him?
Now, we have a universal mobile license to roll out in the entire country. Nigeria has 150 million people. Only half of that population have mobile phone. Only half are connected. So tele-density, even though it's slightly more than 50%, about 60%, but you know, each person has about 2 or 3 mobile phones.
Yeah.
So the opportunity is there to grow. The space is there for new mobile companies to spring up. So hence we have the opportunity as new entrants. They might be the bigger boys in the marketplace, but I'm used to fighting adversity. I'm used to surviving under adversity. When Zenith Bank was started in 1990, there were so many big banks then. Nobody gave us a chance. But now we have big mobile players in Nigeria, mobile operators. But now government has given us a chance. We'll see what happens, and we'll try. The most important now is we have people employed. We have over 1,000 people. Between now and the next 3 years, we'll employ 5,000 Nigerians. We'll create jobs, but we will make profit. That's for the mobile phone. The Quantum Capital is a private equity company. And you really see that Africa is beginning to give attraction to a number of foreign investors who are looking for outlets to invest their money. Hence the Quantum Capital, which is a private equity company that also just started to give opportunity to foreign investors to bring in their money. And there are also so many enterprises, businesses that will be able to invest in and possibly take over some of them. Either it's manufacturing, manufacturing infrastructure, as the case may be.